Yet again, inaction man fails to heed the warning and then blames everyone else for the consequences. Mr. Speaker, on Sunday, the Home Secretary celebrated her first anniversary in post. That is, if you overlook the 6 days she missed when she was deemed a national security risk. The 6 days she missed.
Let me get straight to it. I know people in our country are frustrated with our politics. I know they feel that much gets promised, but not enough is delivered. I know they watch the news or read the papers and wonder why, in the face of the facts as they have them, choices are made as they are.
I got the luxury lifestyle, but I ain't got no taste. Nothing going on, nothing going on. I got a whole lot of nothing going on.
I know that they dislike Westminster game playing.
We don't like to say it's idiot-proof, but let's just say we bet the whole company on it.
The short-termism and the lack of accountability.
That's the dumbest thing I ever saw. Oh, cool.
But most of all, I think people are tired of the false choice
The truth is boring enough.
between two versions of change that never go beyond a slogan.
I mean, it's one thing to bore everyone to death, but don't lie.
I've been Prime Minister for nearly a year now, and it is a privilege of my life. I know the fundamentals of our great country are solid and timeless.
Right, let's cut the bullshit on this because I really can't be arsed anymore with this. Like, it's absolute fucking farce. This little Wallace and Gromit looking Torag, this gimpy looking imp, can't use a fucking credit card, you know, with your swipe. Wants you to go along with the continued bullshit. The bullshit being that all this net zero garbage is an absolute crock of shit. All it is part of the beast system. The beast system is essentially getting you to go along with something that isn't actually worth what they're saying it is. Basically, take carbon capture. Well, haven't we been reducing our carbon output for, I don't know how many years now? They've been reducing it and blah, blah, blah. Even tells you that we're one of the best of it in the bloody world. But they need to get this carbon capture up and running and off the ground. But to do that, they need your votes. So he's now begging that you'll go along with this, even if I say, well, we don't have to do it until 2035 with all this really detrimental stuff to your cost of living, etc., blah, blah, blah. Bollocks. They want to get this carbon capture in because Bill Gates and his little merry band of supposed experts, you know, these are the guys that have actually looked at this for years and are quite happy with sticking shit in the atmosphere, that they'll tell you that they can change the atmosphere with 100 planes in 24 hours if they spray this shit into the air. They've been doing it for decades with the air traffic already. Any exhaust coming out of a plane is a chemical trail, same as it was coming out of the back end of your car. If you don't understand this, you're a fucking retard. So they've already been doing this with the aeroplanes. Then they found out that they can actually design the jets so they can actually create cirrus clouds, so it makes it look as though they're dispersing the clouds and they're spreading it out so it's not as dangerous. Then they find out that, well, if you actually do this, you can actually cause heat traps in the atmosphere. What happens when you cause heat traps with different layers in the atmosphere? Well, different particles in different layers of the atmosphere hold a different electrical charge. Bearing that in mind, when you get up to the higher atmosphere, you're talking about terra electron volts. You know, it's highly energetic, but you've got no way of storing it and using it proper, and, you know, it can really fuck up satellites and shit like that. That's why you don't fly planes too high, because it'll just fuck up. So what is the other thing that they're actually on about doing? Well, they want to bring in a carbon footprint and a carbon point scoring system and carbon capture. And part of this whole system to sell you the same old piece of rope that isn't worth any more than it was before. And if you actually tied both ends of it around the whole of the block of your area where you live, how long would that piece of string be? Just keep pulling on it until you find the end. Even though there's no end to it, it's just one big loop, and they're just going to keep selling it to you and tell you that you owe them money on it because you've been using it. So they want to put carbon black into the atmosphere. Potash. That shit we've been stopping putting into the atmosphere for quite a few years now, in the quantities that we were. So now they want to put that back up in the higher atmosphere. Oh, what did the World Economic Forum just come out with and tell you that it's quite a good energy storage? If you put it in concrete. Carbon. Carbon is good at storing energy. It's a good conductor. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick it up in the higher atmosphere, bring the electrical charge down through the atmosphere using carbon, and then tell you that we're capturing it because you used it on using all the lower carbon produced products that they're sticking in the air. If you don't understand how a con works, now they're selling you shit. Soap on a rope went out the window years ago. They're selling you the same shitty end of the stick that the other team was holding. Because he's begging for your consent to carry on playing this shit so they can carry on screwing you over. Because when you don't go along with it, the legislation's already in there that Keir Starmer is going to take over as the good saviour, because he's going to see about getting rid of some of all this legislation, but then falling back into the line with the EU and their old big brother fucking connection. It's a load of bollocks. And if this screen slowed down anymore, it'd be fucking going backwards.
Now, I believe deeply that when you ask most people about climate change, they want to do the right thing. They're even prepared to make sacrifices. But it cannot be right for Westminster to impose such significant costs on working people, especially those who are already struggling to make ends meet, and to interfere so much in people's way of life without a properly informed national debate.
Yeah, but we're not having one. He's ruled out having a referendum on it. I wonder why. Because the last time the Tories had a referendum, they got their ass kicked. So, no referendum, no conversation about it. All you're going to get is their spiel and then their legislation. And then you can bitch and moan about it all you like, but they ain't going to do anything about it.
That's especially true because we're so far ahead of every other country in the world.
A lying sack of crap he is.
Because the risk here...
What'll those dumbasses think of next? Probably something that sucks.
For those of us who care about reaching net zero, as I do, is simple. If we continue down this path, we risk losing the consent of the British people.
Back the fuck up, just back the fuck up.
We risk losing the consent of the British people.
Back the fuck up, just back the fuck up.
We risk losing the consent of the British people.
Good evening. Here is the news.
We risk losing the consent of the British people.
And now the rest of the news.
Net zero.
It's still raining.
Don't forget, that's climate boiling.
A lying sack of crap he is.
And please hurry. Oh, thanks. and now I've got the sack.